like old things? Out of context, that might sound like a really weird question, but no judging here. With every generation, people have always had different general traits. This is similar to the Zelda series, which is coming up on its 30th anniversary. And seeing as we have almost 20 diverse, experimental, and unique entries, there's bound to be stuff that was implemented and used better in both the older and newer games. So here's 3 things classic Zelda did better than Tears of the Kingdom. In every entry since the beginning, to complete a dungeon, which is the puzzled area in which you progress, you would acquire a specialized item in or before said dungeon to pass new puzzles and pathways that can only be solved or accessed by your new gear, and even the bosses are smiteable only by your tools. In Tears of the Kingdom, for the puzzles you mainly use your Zonai abilities, which is a given, but these items are replaced with sages, basically granting you a quick power. Though these are versatile, in my and many others' opinions, they suck. I was gonna stay all formal, but I just had to let that out. Items were better in almost every way. Besides one of these abilities being useful outside of dungeons, I see no plus side. It's no secret that story and its development are key components in the Zelda franchise. Come to think of it, most if not all action-adventure games rely on a well-fleshed-out plot to intrigue and incentivize players to engage in gameplay and interactions. But the story used to be so much simpler to implement smoothly into the flow of a game. You see, it's so much simpler to present and formulate the exact order of the story of, say, Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, or Link to the Past to the player than it is of Breath of the Wild. If the game doesn't want you to meet or see the Gorons of Death Mountain before understanding your quest by talking to Zelda, then bam, it puts a direct obstacle on your path that will redirect you and will later be cleared. Even though that game's as old as my grandma, it's better than in the newer entries where this can still happen where events can be triggered, but you unlock bits and pieces of the story in random fragments, and a common complaint about Tears of the Kingdom is that many players spoiled themselves early on with Queen Sonia's death being one of their first memories. In my opinion, you're giving too much freedom in this respect, and there needs to be some way to prevent this in further open world entries. Before we stray from the topic of dungeons, let's touch on them. No, I didn't say touch them. No! So Tears of the Kingdom's dungeons have a phenomenal aesthetic. But the actual puzzle and structure of these is either really basic, or not. Ever since comparing classic dungeons with Breath of the Wilds, I realized one thing. Dungeons won't live up to their former glory if we don't bring back the small key system and confined rooms. Honestly, that would be kinda cool to be in a modern Zelda and feel trapped for the first time in the experience. Personally, I'm happy with the amount of freedom the game gives you, but it sure as highly it doesn't belong in dungeons. At this point, I'm the only human being who did the fire temple the intended way. Zonai building should be disabled in these areas or something. As a bonus, the sages we talked about earlier are absolute carp compared to the other companions in the series. They hardly have any personality, and worse than that, they're ghost versions of the actual character. Also, as I mentioned, only one has an actually useful ability. So these were some things that I think old Zelda games did better than Tears of the Kingdom. I'm trying to hit 2,000 subscribers before my anniversary on the 27th, and even though I doubt it'll happen, please subscribe to help me out, and comment on some things that you agree or disagree with if you want. Trust me, I'll read it. God bless you all.